New, they lost their tag team titles. New, they turned heel back in December. New, they was booked really unfairly, I think, considering how good their heel turn was and how they weren't really given any proper storylines after that to sink their teeth into. So therefore, does New Day suck as heels? I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen, DAD. Welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast. Raw review here on the Tuesday. We are here every Tuesday and Friday. Usually we were here also on Sunday with Night of Champions. If you haven't listened to that podcast review already, listen to me and Sat disagree.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's what Wrestling Discourse is all about.
I was like, where's Luke? Just nods his head like a dummy when I say things. Yet I'm being challenged on my opinions.
Yeah, I would also agree. I thought that Karrion Kross was broadly fine in his match with Sami Zayn.
All I want him to do, Sat, is a couple of Spanish flies. If you haven't already, please press the thumbs up button. Give us a subscribe, not just on YouTube, but also, of course, on Podbean.
Yeah, there it is. Stitcher
and Tout.
SoundCloud.
Give us a follow over on SoundCloud, wherever you're getting your audio podcasts from. And leave a comment down below with what you thought of this episode of Monday Night Raw. An episode with no interference finishes.
I know, right?
But they still found a way to do a crappy finish.
Oh, yeah, well, there's got to be one per show. In fact, actually, I thought it was going to be in the main event.
Yeah. And, of course, send in your chat Gables, praying he gets better soon, to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one over $5. But our opening discussion point is second segment on the show, tag team title match, barely a week of build. New Day didn't even get proper entrances on the edited version. Great match, title change.
Yeah, really good match. Like, really, really great. Like, particularly in that final stretch. Really, really good action. And I did think about halfway through, because I didn't expect a title change, but I did think to myself, I mean, they could just do a title change. These belts don't matter. So you could do a title change here. And then, like, there was something that Michael Cole said where he was like, well, if Judgment Day win here, that means all of Judgment Day have got gold. And I was like, oh, that'd be a really good, like, little story beat for them, actually. Like, Liv goes out and all of a sudden they're all, like, they're draped in gold. Like, every single member has got it. Maybe Finn is right. And I thought that'd be a really nice story beat. But again, I still didn't expect the title change, even though I thought you may as well do one because these belts don't mean a damn. And then they had me at all of the near falls. They had me from being like, I think it's going to be a title change. I think it's going to be a retention. I think it's going to be a title change. There's going to be a retention. Tremendous stuff.
Well, I think you could have thought what you were thinking, but more realistically, this is the start to the feud that will pay off at SummerSlam, where Judgment Day might win the belts back. Well, I saw this, just because of its placement in the episode, as the beginning of a series.
Yeah, we also thought they were going to do New Day Usos. Because remember, like, Jay lost the title, and they were doing, like, those backstage vignettes of, like, New Day, like, laughing at Jay losing the belt. There was reports that Jay and Jimmy were going to get back together and go into a tag title program with the New Day. So there was also, I think, a part of me that thought, oh, we're still heading in that direction for SummerSlam.
Which I really like still, because, those New Day Usos tag team matches were some of the best series of matches of the 2010s. To do that now with the dynamic reversed. Well, I guess Usos were never really fully heel back then, but the New Day certainly are fully heel now without Big E.
They were in that sort of 2016. You look at SummerSlam. Is it SummerSlam 2017? I think they're on the pre-show then.
Lockdown,
and that was an awesome one, and that was like heel Usos versus babyface New Day.
Yeah, but they were heels, but they were so good. Whereas I would say New Day right now are just out and out real heels. And on that note, what the hell?
Well, I can tell you what happened to the New Day heel turn. They turned heel, and then they won the tag titles 5 months later?
Yep, at WrestleMania.
Yep, and now they've lost the tag titles. Thank God for the New Day.
Everyone's looking at John Cena's heel turn as one of the biggest creative fumbles of the year, maybe even of all time. But I'm like, well, I enjoyed the Orton thing. I really enjoy about 60% of his promos. Mm-hmm. The whole I'm going to ruin wrestling thing, I personally get a big kick out of. I don't know if it's been 100% a creative fumble. The New Day's has. To start with that absolutely killer angle, which was topping best segments of the year lists, even though it happened. I mean, Usually that actually helps something out with recency bias. But it was like late November, early December, maybe early December. They kick Big E out, and we're all going into 2025 like, what are they going to do with the New Day? Yeah. Big E's going to come back in the Rumble. The New Day are going to lead the charge as the top of this tag division.
Yeah.
And you had the bits where Cody Rhodes was kicking them out the locker room, Rey Mysterio saying you can't come in here. Even the heels was saying what you did, the New Day, was too much. Well,
do you think Rey getting hurt derailed it then? Because they were doing a program with Rey, and then Rey went out.
Yeah, but they didn't follow up quick enough, and I think their Raw premiere on Netflix match was bumped to the following week. So they're like, okay, well, you're not as important enough to feature on there. And skip jump, all of a sudden, they're becoming friends with Grayson Waller.
Yeah, who then was not a factor in this match whatsoever. I'm not advocating for interference, but there wasn't even a backstage. They've had like 3 weeks worth of backstage segment with him, and then he's just not out there with them as like part of the entrance or anything. So I don't know what that is.
So it's a tough one because I love this match. I feel like Judgment Day could actually be on the precipice of being a more tweener faction, just because it was weird. Also,
they were babyface here,
a heel versus heel dynamic, which is typically a death sentence for a crowd.
Yeah.
I remember watching, I think it was Marty Scurll versus Adam Cole in Ring of Honor at the height of their Bullet Club popularity, and I was like, this is going to be great. I just remember the crowd being not into it, and me not being into it.
Yeah, but the Judgment Day worked as babyfaces in this match, which I thought was the smart play. And like the crowd were building to the hot tag, and they were in for the hot tag when Finn made it. They worked over JD, and it kind of benefits because JD could do all of his big moonsaults and all these planches and stuff, and that really works out well for them. Great match, really, really good. And I think that you can. It's this might create some more Judgment Day drama, and we can keep that big train rolling down the line as we head towards Liv's comeback in January of next year. But for the New Day themselves, I don't know. My only assumptions can be that the Rey Mysterio injury derailed any plans that they had, and once one plan is derailed, you can't pivot. And secondly, that they thought Big E could come back, and he hasn't. Because that's the only thing I can think. And I've got no basis of there's never been reports about that. There's never been any chatter that he could be cleared. There's been nothing of that. But based on the segment that they did, it really was there to be and Big E's going to get involved somehow. And it hasn't, which makes me think or makes me assume that they thought that he could and then he couldn't. So that's then... Well, I don't know then. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, and presumably those two things happen early on in January, which maybe is why New Day aren't appearing on TV. And then they really do nothing for a couple of months. And then 2 weeks out from WrestleMania, we've got a Clash of Clans branded content spot for WrestleMania. I'll put you in a match with the War Raiders. New Day win. That was when they won the title.
That was when War Raiders came out in cosplay for the sponsorship that they were doing.
And then they've only feuded with the War Raiders, a little bit of American made.
When was that they feuded? They had a match with those two teams.
I thought they were doing quite a nice story. A story that didn't really get any time, but they maximize their minutes, where the New Day would keep playing off tag teams against each other so they didn't have to defend their belts. I thought that's where we were going with Grayson Waller and Austin Theory.
Yeah.
They're playing them against each other so they don't think we should have the next match against the New Day. But that whole storyline is never paid off, and it cannot continue because that's based on the idea that they're champions.
Yeah, and actually it makes now better sense and more like a storyline sense for drama and stuff for them to be on the Judgment Day. So I don't really know what you do with New Day after this, I'm afraid.
Move them to SmackDown, give them a soft reset.
Okay, so this is the point I was going to make based on what you just said then, which is they've not had enough TV time to develop this. And I think this is why there's been, when I listen to podcasts talking about this, there's that question of what's going to happen to the SmackDown tag team division once they lose the 3 hours. You've got to keep it at the 3 hours because what are Berto and the other one going to do without the third hour of SmackDown? You're not going to be able... They'll never get a push. You want these 2 hours, but they'll never get a push without the third hour. And the argument again is well, no, you can just format the shows better. You can still give everyone TV time with with an hour's less worth of it. And it's 2.5 hours for Raw. And it still does feel like storylines take an age to progress. And oftentimes just never progress at all.
Yeah, I'm not saying Dynamite has all the answers, because they will often just drop storylines for weeks and stuff.
And sometimes we'll do too much in those 2 hours.
But I think, and Triple H used to do this, and certainly in the Attitude Era, there was a concerted effort to make sure all of your stories had a bit in every episode. Game of Thrones fell into this trap. There became a point in about season 4 where they're like, we cannot fit in every story in every episode. And it sort of made certain storylines feel not as important.
Yeah.
Because you will focus on the main stories, your world championship, maybe not your women's championship. I mean, whatever Rhea Ripley's doing.
The real women's champion.
And then you've sort of just got to fit in the other stuff around it. And it's like, oh, okay, well, we've paced out the show. I guess New Day, you're going to have a bit in the Netflix ad breaks this week.
Yeah.
And it happens the week after and the week after.
And you only see those if you're watching it live. Because I don't see those bits. I don't watch Raw live. So if New Day have a promo 3 weeks in a row, but it's in the ad breaks, I never see those bits.
We don't even have the ability to watch it live or on replay.
No.
They just cut out.
They just cut out. Unless, of course, you get the really cheap version of it, because then you don't get the high quality edited version where they cut all that stuff out. You just get the full 2.5 hours with all of the ad breaks in there. So that's what maybe that's what you need to do if you're Netflix, is to get the lowest tier subscription on there, the ad one.
Can I give I thought of a joke, but now the moment to say it is about 4 minutes ago.
Okay, no, please go. Do you need a feed line?
You talked about the tag teams getting a push on the third hour of SmackDown.
Do you want me to say that?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's what people keep saying when I listen to podcasts, is that what's going to happen to Angel and the other one without that third hour of SmackDown?
Can you do that again, but make sure you put in push?
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's what I hear when people talk about this on podcasts, is what's going to happen to these tag teams? What's going to happen to their push if you don't have that third hour?
I tell you what, the third hour is going to push for me. Oh, I don't know.
Do you want a clean one?
Just clap. I'll do it again. I tell you what, that third hour can push me away from watching it. Slam! Take that, WWE. Let's see what everyone thinks on the chats, which I haven't got prepared because I was trying to fudge in my own joke. A joke that might not have been worth it.
Oh, no,
I'll let
that's pretty
you
good.
be the judge.
I enjoyed it, man.
We have...
I've got the chats here.
Kevin writing, as a massive New Day fan, I tried to explain how I felt after they lost, but it ended up being a 3,000-word essay that might or might never be in a video on my currently non-existent YouTube channel. So I'll just say this. I hope they can bounce back from this.
I think the problem that we're going to face is that I get the impression that tag team titles are just low down on the list of priorities. Now that they are in the Judgment Day, they will just be a prop for the group to have.
I don't get it. I thought Paul Levesque sold us all on this vision that Paul Levesque loves tag team wrestling. DIY, AOP, FTR.
Yeah. But he was
all of the ladders.
I know, and there was a period of time when he was, the position that he was in was just like, oh, DX were one of the greatest tag teams of all time. If we're going to do a documentary about tag teams, better put DX front and center of the greatest tag teams of all time, despite the fact that we had a very small run together as a tag team. In all 3 runs that they had, it was very short. I thought as well, but I guess it's factions that he likes rather than tag teams.
Which makes total sense.
Because the New Age Outlaws were more over than he was. So maybe that's why he doesn't like tag teams.
Triple H only likes what Triple H was once a part of. He likes factions.
Yep.
He likes Elimination Chambers, Hell in a Cells, being the WWE champion.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like Money in the Bank, tag teams, or women.
Or Goldberg.
Or Goldberg. Kazoo writes, my heart aches for the New Day. This is the second large-scale heel turn under Triple H that failed because a key figure in the turn couldn't be a part of it. Without Big E, this New Day only had so much it could do, and I guess he was just never cleared.
I think that's actually a really good point, Kuzu. Without Big E, there wasn't much they could really like sink their teeth into. They just became generic heels.
Yeah, but that, I think you can... I push back on that because I feel like after the heel turn, in Big E's absence, the drama was around the rest of the locker room going, what you did to Big E was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the tension came. So the New Day can take on all these people. They are like the heels that exist beyond the barometer of where all heels say they will go to.
Which I agree with. But then they stopped doing that.
Yes.
And then
so
they just
I'm saying continue that part.
Well, that's actually a fair point, because I was going to say, like, they just became generic baddies. So they kind of lost a lot of... And I wonder if that was almost in the moment they found out that this Big E's not going to return. But also, do you know what would have helped? I don't know, Big E talking about it on panels? Like, you know, like Big E cutting some promos? That might have helped.
Big E, if he can't wrestle, maybe being a manager.
Yeah.
Getting 2 new wrestlers to go up against the New Day.
Yeah.
I've got...
do you know what? Sorry. That will happen. It'll just happen at next year's WrestleMania, because you can't do it at this year's WrestleMania. You can't do it a few months after the turn. You got to wait a full calendar year before you can really start a storyline.
Have you seen the episode descriptions for WWE Unreal, the upcoming docuseries for Netflix?
I sure have.
Well, because one of them, I think it's episode 4, is all about the Elimination Chamber 2025 John Cena heel turn. But it will also weirdly include the New Day's heel turn.
Yeah.
So maybe they can tell us more there.
Maybe.
Or maybe they'll make up a bunch of lies to get past it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else people are expecting. I have heard a few podcasts that have been like, man, it's going to be... I think they're going to peel back the curtain too much. It's really going to expose the business. Like, lads, this is going to be faker than the show itself.
I went on a bit of a... we have a limited word count that we can really stick to in the WrestleTalk newses, especially, we've only got so long we can write the episodes in. And I found myself, I'd just written like 600 words on objective documentaries.
Oh, man, it was lush.
And
I mean, talking about the Beckham thing.
And I was cutting back on things. I had a whole bit about Errol Morris and Michael Moore and the difference between objective truth or sort of overtly subjective presentation. But the point is, it's front and center. You don't get freaking Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders documentaries that are just like, oh, we're all so great here.
Yeah.
Like, no, you clearly body shame everyone who walks through that door. Oh, she looks a bit, run down. You mean fat, don't you? That's what you mean, and you say when this camera crew isn't on you. Yeah. Sorry, my partner's watching it. And I respect my partner so much, and I just don't know why she watches this show.
Has there been something on social media? Because my wife started rewatching it last week.
A new series.
Is that what it is?
I'm absorbing a lot of it through it being on and me trying to
because I came home,
read the newspaper.
I came home from work the other day and she was watching it, and I was like, oh, this is that Dallas Cowboys thing. She was like, yeah, it's the second time I've seen it.
Is that how she refers to new series of...
No, she was watching the first series again.
Ah.
And I don't know if she was doing that in preparation for a new one.
Oh, God, that's weird. But we've got a massive chat from Matt Hennessy on the topic of the New Day. Thank you very much for all 36 of these euros. And boy, have you spent them well, because this is a long one. To me, the 2 biggest creative fumbles of 2025 is the New Day heel turn and the Death Riders.
I'm going to, first off, appreciate this. I'm going to push back on that one, because I think 2025 is actually the first time the Death Riders have felt good.
Yeah, so 2024 was the bad Death Riders.
I'd actually say 2025 has been the creative peak of the Death Riders.
The biggest issue with the New Day heel turn has been WWE's treatment of the Raw tag division. SmackDown right now has a red-hot division that has continued to grow and get better. You had that excellent 3-way feud earlier this year with the Street Profits, DIY, and Motor City Machine Guns, where they traded the title back and forth and elevated themselves and the division, that concluded with an epic TLC that got those 3 teams more over, and the titles as well. Since then, they have added more teams like Fraxium, the Wyatt Six, Los Garza, and Andrade and Rey Fenix to the division, and it's allowed it to stay a healthy and exciting division as a result. Raw's division has been built on 4 teams: New Day War Raiders, the Creds, the Creeds, and Judgment Day. That can be fine in the short term, but at a bare minimum, you need 5 legit teams. It's not like Raw lacking. You have Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. You have the LWO. You have Alpha Academy. They have teams. The issue there, not using everyone, and it's hurt New Day. New Day are bulletproof at this point in their career, but the Raw tag division can easily be fixed. Put the Usos together on Raw. Pick 6 teams to push, and the others can be cannon fodder. For me, I'd push New Day, Usos, War Raiders, Creeds, Dunn and Bate, and LWO, specifically Ray and Dragon Lee. I think you're sorted that way, and look, when it makes sense, you can add more teams or call people up. I'd like to see Gunther and Kaiser go for the belts eventually. You can fix it. I have a pitch for AEW tag. I'll leave for All In.
Well, yeah, I mean that's sort of what we were saying at the top of this show, is that they don't really have a big vision for the Raw tag scene. It doesn't help that there are, well, I mean, he listed 4 teams then. Technically there are like 6-7 teams there. It's just that those ones are never featured on TV, because like you've mentioned the LWO, Ray's hurt, but the other 2 are fine. And Ray, Dragon Lee is completely fine. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate have come back, and they've done nothing there.
They came back in March.
Yeah, it's just that there's no spark. Like, I don't feel like WWE, or at least on the Raw creative side of things, really has much of a creative vision for what these belts actually mean and can do for people. They are, and as I said, like, they will just be used as props in Judgment Day drama.
The most exciting tag team in maybe the whole company right now is Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed.
Yeah.
They are nowhere near the tag belts. Why is Seth not like, get those?
Yeah.
Well, keep on getting in your thoughts to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one. Over $5. But the best way to support WrestleTalk here and get loads of exclusive content is to go over to Patreon.com/WrestleTalk.
Oh, yeah. We've got something really fun and exciting this coming Saturday, because a couple of weeks back, we filmed a very special episode of WrestleTalk where we play Monopoly, but wrestling.
Yes, the hit show over on No Rolls Barred, Monopoly, but enter gimmick here. Dom, who knows nothing about wrestling, and Sullivan created a wrestling version of Monopoly, which, funnily enough, goes pretty well.
Yeah, and when you say, like, so you just walk around and you buy wrestlers. There's a WWE version of Monopoly. Oh no, there's way more to Monopoly but wrestling. That makes it feel much more like a wrestling scene that we have created, where we have to put on shows, we have to negotiate talent contracts, some talent go to auction, and there is a legit monopoly trying to screw over all of us small independent promotions. It was a lot of fun, and so that episode's going up this Saturday, and there'll be a bonus sequel episode over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk.
And the week after that is AEW All In week.
Yep.
We've spoke about it before, like live streams are really fun, but we're getting on. We can't stay up late for all of them. But AEW All In is on at a decent hour. Thanks WWE. To the counter program.
Thanks, WWE.
So for our Patreons only, me and Luke are going to do an AEW All In live reactions on Saturday the 12th of July.
Yeah,
that's right. The day after Superman's released.
Yeah, we're calling it All In Texas Hangout.
Yeah.
So you can come and hang out with us while we watch the show together.
So if you go over and become a Patreon now, you can get all that along with TLC episodes. Is it TLC this month?
There'll be another TLC episode
this month.
Another
TLC this month. We've got the WrestleTalk extra stuff, and you can go and listen to the whole archive there. So pretty good time to join the Patreon.
Sure is.
Right, this show, we started with Adam Pacitti reacting to Punk and
That's what I read it. I was like, Pacitti on his final stream is on Raw.
For a Saudi show.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice for Pacitti to, that's the last thing he'll be doing on wrestling YouTube. And he was the last guy they showed as well.
Yeah.
Sure, lovely to see Wrestling Days on the show as per usual. But he's always being shown on screen. I probably popped bigger for Pacitti than I did half the roster here.
Yeah, I was really happy for him. Then we got a shot of Penta. I mean, there were shots of everyone doing their walks into the building. But Penta is just like... This is going to become quite the crazy gimmick, I think.
Yeah.
Because they did it in the main event as well. Rhea Ripley then came out and said, well, that's Judgment Day done.
Hopefully they're behind me for the last time.
Bloody hell.
I got called in the podcast comments on Friday's show when we were doing our Night Champs predictions. My prediction was called insane because I thought Rhea Ripley was going to win. They were like, "You're mad and insane. Of course Raquel is going to win with the help of Perez. That furthers the storyline." And I didn't. I thought to myself, "You fool. It is Rhea Ripley. She'll be going for the world title against Io Sky. She is going to win here."
Yeah, I predicted that Raquel would win. I also predicted Carrion would win.
Both of which I thought, I thought that Sami Zayn was win, and I was called insane.
Rhea's moved past that really easily. That was pretty easy.
Yeah.
She overcame them both. And that's when Io Sky came out and said, "I've been told I get to pick who my Evolution opponent is, so I'm choosing the best. I'm choosing you." And Ripley said, "Well, you've brought this on yourself then."
Yeah, I've written here, Io Sky comes out because now she's got something to do, seeing as though Rhea's finished a feud.
Yeah. And that is, I think that's the story of this episode. I thought this episode was really enjoyable, particularly the wrestling, the time given to the wrestling,
Really, yeah.
and the lack of interference finishes. But with every good bit, I'm like, yeah, but why didn't you do this earlier?
Yeah.
Why didn't you make this good before now?
Yeah.
Because the whole Rhea Ripley Io Sky thing is another one of those weird, really inept parts of WWE's booking since WrestleMania, where Io hasn't wrestled a match for 6-7 weeks. They set up this feud in her last match in like mid-May when Rhea and Io beat Roxanne and Julia, and that the closing of that episode was Rhea looking at Io's championship. And then they did nothing with Io for 6 weeks.
Well, that's because Rhea Ripley had to go and do something else. And
Side quest.
Yeah, and what are you going to do with Io Sky, the world champion? What did you... Come on now. What do you think they're going to do with Io Sky, the world champion, while Rhea Ripley is busy doing something else? What do you think? What do you expect from them?
Have Io get some really decent wins under her belt so she's got momentum for when she goes up against Rhea.
You're such a dreamer.
Because, yeah,
such a dreamer.
What's happened is Money in the Bank happened, and then a Queen of the Ring tournament happened. That's what was taking up the rest of the division. Couldn't just one person feud with Io during that time?
The last time Io Sky had a match in WWE, Roxanne Perez and Julia were still part of NXT. And Julia is now the United States champion over on SmackDown. And Roxanne Perez is the tag team champion on Raw with someone else that was not her tag partner.
So I'm glad we're finally going in this direction. But my God. We've only got one more show.
Do you know what? So Io Sky has had 3 world title matches in 2025, and they've all involved Rhea Ripley. It's when she won the belt from her, defended it at WrestleMania, and she's defending against her again. It's almost as if they only really like Rhea Ripley. And I get it. She is your most over star. She should be in this world title picture. But that doesn't mean you can't do anything else with Io Sky. Give her some other challenges.
AJ Styles confronted Dominic Mysterio backstage, didn't believe he was really injured. So Dom got out his medical notice and said, "Put on your old man glasses to read it." So AJ got out his Peter Parker glasses. We're being attacked.
Sorry.
The screen's gone black again.
Yeah.
So it wasn't fixed.
I thought I fixed that earlier. That was my mistake. Sorry. I thought I fixed that earlier.
Don't worry, we're both still here and safe. But we really should build this to a story. Which was quite funny when AJ got his glasses out. Then we went into the Judgment Day New Day match, which was fantastic. Really good match. Jackie Redmond is backstage. She's interviewing Bayley, and then Lyra gets involved, being like, well, Becky.
What's Lyra's problem?
That she cost Bayley's match last week.
So, but how's that Bayley's fault?
Yeah, well, because I guess Bayley got an IC title shot before her, but she considers herself...
I thought they were doing a really good job with Lyra Valkyria coming out of WrestleMania in this Becky feud, and these last couple of weeks have made her look like such a twat.
So Adam Pearce says they'll fight tonight. The winner is the number 1 contender for the IC title.
Yeah, definitely getting a double finish there.
Goldberg got a video package. Can't wait for him to debut. Looks good.
Michael Cole, in this video package, called him the greatest champion in WCW history. He held that belt once.
Yeah, but what a time.
And it wasn't actually for that long. And when he won that belt, do you know what he did on the next show after that? Was he in the main event? No, he was not. He was in a battle royal between the NWO and the Wolfpack.
Stop getting history in the way of all the stories we want to tell in the modern day.
You can call him one of the greatest WCW but you can't call him the greatest WCW champion in history. It's factually incorrect.
A rare example of Triple H putting over Goldberg. Maybe that's why he's done it as like a little dog whistle to us.
To me, yeah.
I don't believe it.
Exactly, because he put that line in there. So it's Wikipedia. I don't think that's right, actually.
Chad Gable's backstage with American Made. He's got his arm in a sling. This is to cover a real injury, but in kayfabe they explained it when Penta attacked him last week, did the sacrifice arm spot. And Pierce walks in, bit of a dickhead, and says, "Oh, I guess we won't be seeing El Grande Americano around either." Which made me really excited that this was all a work. And El Grande Americano was going to show up.
Well, he does.
Well, yeah, more on that shortly. It feels like we only just got Chad back because he was gone for ages on his trip to Mexico.
Yeah.
So
this does suck. Yeah.
Said this and I was like, I think I agree with you for once. I think, and this is Sat's opinion, I think it's a really good one. Triple H can't book comedy, or he has no time for comedy. Like goofy comedy storylines.
I mean, the Judgment Day are a goofy for a long time a goofy comedy act,
No,
particularly with R-Truth in there, and those were very, very good segments.
I think that's wrestling with comedic elements, out and out comedy wrestling, like a Matt Classic or a Mr. Iguana. That's that. Orange Cassidy would be an example. El Grande Americano is a great idea, but after the initial debut, what did he do? He just cost people matches for like 2 months.
Well, and they stopped telling jokes, which was a real part of the problem about Grande Americano was they stopped telling jokes with him. And actually, I mean, maybe there is some truth to that. Like Mr. Iguana's a really good example because, man, you want to talk about when you had lightning in a bottle, you've decided not to use it. Like it's that stove that's way off the boil. You could never put it on TV now.
He's got an iguana. Bronson Reed then led a video package about Jurassic World Rebirth, and it's the best thing they've ever done. Sometimes it just makes sense to do sponsors.
Yeah, particularly when you have your wrestlers that are tied to it. Do you remember when they did this in AEW and they did the Godzilla versus Kong match, and they had a guy that looked like King Kong versus Luchasaurus? It was like, yeah, it's a Godzilla vs. Kong match. Or, the better example is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre match, which was one of the best matches of that year. Criminally underrated match. But this was tremendous.
Finn and JD, after winning...
You can put Mr. Iguana on TV. It's just that he will not feel as over as he did at that Money in the Bank weekend.
Finn and JD, the new tag team champions, come into the authority figures office. Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce were just hanging out backstage.
Well, they did say they were going to work together to figure out the tag title situation.
And they have worked together to just listen to the first idea that a wrestler pitched who's affiliated with the current tag team champions.
Well, I really liked Finn's idea because he walked up and he was like, look, speaking as a tag team champion, I can give you my idea of what you should do with these tag titles, which I thought was funny.
Keep them on Raquel. But she needs a new partner. How about Roxanne?
Yeah.
Who's not technically a Judgment Day member by this point. And Aldis and Pearce agree and say, but there's a catch. You'll have to defend them at Evolution against a team from SmackDown, a team from Raw, and a team from NXT.
Yeah.
So not the Bellas.
No, they've been doing qualifying matches for those because they did one on SmackDown. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the Kabuki Warriors for Raw because now that Asuka's not got anything to do and Kairi Sane got a video package on this show.
I think just put them up and have Raquel and Roxanne win them. Means more. Yeah. Vacate them, have them win it.
Why have stakes?
Aldis says, we're finally on the same page. And Pearce, again being a dickhead, goes, for now.
Building to that match.
Sheamus and Rusev, speaking of building to a match, Sheamus and Rusev had a match. Crowd didn't care.
Yeah, man. This crowd were not into this or the next match.
I thought it was a good match. I don't think it's the banger Sheamus Rusev match that we can get, but this did feel like the start of a series.
Yeah, and man, they came back from the first ad break to a chin lock that was, you could hear this pin drop. I very much enjoyed this. Michael Cole at one point said this reminds him of a late 70s match, which is as broad and vague as a term as you can use.
This reminds me of a wrestling match. But yeah, it got really good near the end. Sheamus bro kick, Rusev accolade. There's a bro kick on the outside. They just beat the count back in. And the finish was Rusev poking Sheamus in the eye and then yanking him into the exposed turnbuckle. I mean, it was already... you don't need to expose that part of the turnbuckle.
Yeah,
because
there's more heelish
they were outside the ring apron bit. And a match could kick to win.
Yeah, and they mentioned Alberto Del Rio as well on commentary. But I thought I very much enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it more than the crowd did.
Pierce and Aldis then have a vignette on Evolution, which was actually released on social media earlier that day, where they revealed the winner of a battle royale, which is apparently an Evolution tradition. Same way those all-in fatal four-ways are.
That's what I thought as well.
The winner gets a title shot at Clash in Paris.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? What about SummerSlam? And we just had the tournament to crown the number one contender.
Yeah. I mean, you could have crowned it for the other women's title. There are two of them.
Yeah.
This show sort of felt a little bit like, oh, it's Evolution in 2 weeks. Oh, crap, we need to book something.
We've moved it so many times, we forgot when it was scheduled for.
We need to sell some tickets for this thing.
Yeah. Jackie Redmond is then backstage, talks to American Made, how are you going to cope without Chad? And then a much taller, maybe more Austrian or German, European looking El Grande Americano walks in.
He's back again on QAnon.com. He's reading all these conspiracy theories, r/tinfoil hat once again.
I told you. The frickin' sphinxes, there is the water erosion on the sphinxes doesn't match up to when they say they were built.
Well, the problem you've got is that you keep reading dirt sheets. Dirt sheets are in the mud, man. Every single one of those dirt sheets report that Chad Gable is out injured, and so is El Grande Americano. And look how wrong they were. Sean Ross Sapp don't know shit. What's the point of subscribing to Fight for Slick when you get bogus news like that? Meltzer hasn't a clue what he's talking about, and chumps like you believe what they say.
Hey, when you show carrying Cross taking a flat back bump, maybe I'll believe you. But right now, I think this is a different person, and I think it's Ludwig Kaiser.
You're the problem.
that chiseled abdominal region.
Grande Americano was chiseled.
Yeah, but not like this chiseled. It's actually like he's just been stretched down a bit, and the vascular sort of body fat has gone down, increased. How would you say that?
Yeah, he looked great.
Yeah, and then... okay, I haven't had a chance to pitch this to you yet. I want to make Raw bingo cards for us.
Yeah, nice. I like it.
And actually, maybe we can crowdsource this. Can everyone just start putting in the chat things that happen on all Raws? So, one for... I was going to say an interference finish.
Yeah.
On the first episode, there hasn't been an interference finish. But that would be an example. And then one of the other things I was going to suggest was... backstage interviewer with someone backstage gets distracted by Sami Zayn. Because that's what happened here. Jackie's like, oh, never mind you, American Made. Sami Zayn's here.
Yeah.
And then Karrion Kross attacked him, hit him with a steel pipe in the diverticulitis.
Oh, man. Everyone's just going after that at the moment. So that's the injury du jour that everyone's really into right now.
It's the diverticulitis, Bill. The diverticulitis. So that feud will probably continue.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, my big hope is we can have like 50 different things on the Raw bingo list, and then everyone can generate their own bingo card and play along for all the tropes.
Nice.
Can you think of anything else?
Well, some people are in the chat at the moment, and that is official. Michael Cole botch, but no, it doesn't feel like he just makes a lot of botches. He often says like insipid things on commentary, but that's almost too hard to judge. Jey Uso lasts longer than 2 minutes.
Yes, that's a good example. A restarted Jey Uso entrance.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Well, okay, someone's written here, Judgment Day backstage segment. I would just say the Den.
Yeah.
We cut back to the Den.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good one. 20-minute promo And it doesn't have to be exactly 20 minutes, but you know what we mean. That template 20-minute promo.
Yeah, in ring. Yeah, and then you can mark off all yours, and then we'll release a list that says this is the official ones that happen.
Great one from Mod Mother Jenna. Jobber entrance for Big Star.
Yeah. Okay, we can get this going. Let's try and get this going next week. We've not got loads on. we can surely whip up a whole new gimmick. After that, we got a Gunther promo. He talked about Goldberg's video package, said much like his matches, it was 3 minutes long. Cute line. And he's just a 58-year-old man who wants to ride Gunther's coattails. Gunther could beat him in 3 minutes, but he's going to stretch him out, embarrass him. He's going to bully Goldberg. Never mind, have you still got it? Gunther will expose he never had it.
You wonder why people aren't into Goldberg coming back to go for the title against Gunther. Because you want to talk about lackluster. This is some lackluster badness right here. Goldberg had a segment with Gunther last year, and then nothing. Then he wins the world title again, does Gunther. Goldberg has one appearance where he is gassed doing his entrance and saying 3 lines of dialogue, and then has a sit-down interview with Michael Cole where he does not announce his retirement or that it's his last match. And that's done for Michael Cole instead, and that's it. That's been this whole feud.
You didn't mention not mentioning the title. What if you win the title, Goldberg? That'll be interesting.
Yeah, well, that's because we didn't see that. We've actually only got Michael Cole's word that took place. I've yet to see evidence that they had that conversation.
Yeah, I love it. I think this is a hilarious, low-effort Goldberg retirement.
This Triple H is laughing his tits off at how little effort he has put into this.
Paul Levesque is having the best time. He just made CM Punk apologize to Saudi Arabia, and now he's booking Goldberg's retirement.
Yeah, to be dreadful. He hasn't had this much fun since he buried Kurt Angle's retirement.
Oh, if I'm Bret Hart, do not pick up the phone. We've got an idea for you, Bret. I love how nobody is treating Goldberg as a serious threat. He's going for the title in his retirement match. That's not a part of the story that the idea he could win. And even Gunther here, still 2 weeks out from the match, says, yeah, but, what's next?
Exactly. And then it's one of those classic WWE segments of the Levesque era. And actually, because Sean does this down in NXT as well, which is you set up a tournament to crown a number one contender, but in the process of that, you announce who the next contender is going to be after that person doesn't win the title. They did it with Blake Monroe. It was we just did this, these fatal 4-ways to crown a number one contender for Evolution, but on the same show, you've got Jason Jane cutting a promo on Blake Monroe because that's actually the title direction we want to head in.
Seth Rollins came out to answer the who's next for Gunther, and Gunther had a great line. Oh, by the look on your face, you must be very pleased you travelled all that way to achieve absolutely nothing. And Seth very rightfully corrected him, saying, look, I didn't want to win the WWE title. I wanted to stop CM Punk winning the title. I'm going to go for your belt. He kind of teased that.
Yeah.
This brings down Punk. He chases Seth away and pushes down Gunther too.
Yeah, that was my favorite bit of this, actually, was Punk. Because, Punk running out to brawl with Seth is a little bit all right, I saw this in November 2023. And
should we add that to the bingo?
CM Punk brawls with Rollins.
Bingo.
Bingo. But when he shoved down Gunther, I was like, ooh, I wonder if that could be your SummerSlam matches.
Yeah, I thought that.
CM Punk versus Gunther.
I think that's a hell of a night one main event, potentially.
Okay, sorry, because WrestleTalk.com's Amanda Savage in the chat to be I'm so convinced Goldberg is winning.
Yes.
And I want to back that up because there was someone else I can find it who said there's always that 1% chance with Goldberg.
Yeah.
And here we are just laughing our tits off being Triple H does not care about this. But what if there is that little 1% in there?
Who does Levesque hate more right now? Bill Goldberg or all of the fans? It could genuinely go either way.
Yeah. I mean, I do hate this man over here, but I really wish these guys would just sit back and enjoy the show that I'm trying to tell.
I really enjoyed Punk pushing down Gunther, and Gunther's face was like, what? But I also really enjoyed LA Knight.
Yeah, that was great, yeah.
So Seth's runaways up in the stands, and they're filming him. And then LA Knight, chill as anything, just walks up beside him and starts a brawl with
Popcorn
him.
in his mouth.
Yeah, really enjoyed
Really
that.
good. And I particularly love as well, because then he had that backstage segment. I'll just jump ahead to that now. When Jackie chases up to CM Punk to be like, hey, and he's like, look, I want to talk about Seth Rollins, and he spots LA Knight and he runs up to him and he's like, stop getting involved in my business. Rollins is mine, get to the back of the line. And LA Knight brilliantly just says like, oi, dickhead, if you don't listen, they've announced me versus Rollins for Saturday Night Main Event. I am the line.
Yeah.
You're at the back of the line. And Punk's like, it's been a bad few weeks for me.
I'm sorry. I just like to say, I'm sorry. What's your name, LA Knight?
I woke up grumpy and I had to send a tweet.
It's the Miz's fault. Me and Luke haven't really spoken, by the way, because you're at a wedding since Friday's anniversary of the pipe bomb.
Well, there is an ultra chat.
I did text you though.
Yeah, I know. There is an ultra chat asking our thoughts on it. So maybe we can save all of that.
I've said all the thoughts. I had to remove thoughts. I started comparing. This is the bit that didn't make it into Sunday's Sound Night Champions review. I had a 400-word passage just quoting bits of Human Rights Watch and Amnesty's reports on Saudi Arabia and comparing it to all the causes Punk has recently supported. And I think you'll be surprised to know they contradict one another. Anyway, that was good stuff. JD in the Clubhouse, Judgment Day, bingo. Mark that down. Raquel's protesting when Finn says, look, Liv could be out for ages. I've had that kind of shoulder injury. So we need another member. Yeah, I really like delusional Raquel walked in and be like, what are we talking about this? She'll be back soon. She'll be back soon. And Finn's like, no, mate, she's not. I've been through this. She's going to be gone for a long time. Yeah. And that's why he's like, I think we should vote her in. You know my vote? JD says yes. And Dom's like, I think I should check with Liv first. It's like, no, she'll like it if you stand up for yourself and make a decision on your own. It's like, all right, I'll do it then. And Raquel reluctantly does it. Finn steps forward and again, like a Bond villain revealing his plan to the good guys, said, Liv Morgan is going to love this. Yeah, with his big grin. Grin Balor. I got a kick out of this. I thought this was, I'm actually quite into the Judgment Day story. I know it's awful Liv got injured, but it's actually made them quite interesting. Yeah. And I love that they're being like, we need to replace that person that's missing. Never once referencing the fact that Carlito has just been erased and Thanos'd away. Yeah. Kairi Sane is building WrestleMania 36. It's fun. It was a gimmick change. It's what you do on 2K25. Just reverting back to a pirate princess gimmick. But this video package was right out of all the assets from the WrestleMania 36 pirate-themed promos. Well, what else are you going to do with them? Yeah. Bayley versus Lyra was then next. I was enjoying the start of this match. I thought they were telling really well that they both know each other inside out. Mm. Both go for a crossbody at the same time. Both try for the same pin off the superplex. And that makes sense when you get to the finish, which is they do a double pin. Yeah. But for whatever reason, the crowd weren't into it again. Nope. The double pin just didn't feel like it came at the right moment, nor do I think visually it fully got across that it was a double pin. No, I mean, I actually think a better finish here, if I can sort of armchair booker this, it would have been a double count out. You know, they're having a match in the ring, and then it actually just gets a bit too heated, and they stop doing the chain wrestling and the I know you better than you know me. And it just turns into a brawl, and they brawl outside the ring, and they brawl through the crowd, and they just get counted out. Because then you can just continue the brawl that they were doing after the match with then security separating them apart. Because it's less clunky than the double pin. Can I give you a preview? They've not taped Raw for next week, but I've got a preview of what Becky's promo is. I guess I've got no challenger. Yeah. Enter Adam Pearce. Actually, you'll be facing both of them. It's a conspiracy. Yeah. I mean, I agree, but it's a backstage segment. That's not an in-ring promo. Okay. Oh, but they give them a lot of in-ring segments, these three. Yeah. Yeah, I just think that to me reads backstage segments. Uh-oh. It's an in-ring.
Okay, I'm going to say it's backstage.
I don't know what's on the line there. But yeah, they continue to brawl afterwards. It's a draw. More than likely going to be a three-way at Evolution. That's when we get Punk talking to LA Knight backstage. Then Sami Zayn and Penta. Sami Zayn, who was taken out earlier. Penta goes to check on him backstage. Said, are you all right? Zero Miedo? And Sami goes, Zero Miedo.
Yeah.
It's quite cute.
Very nice.
They come out together. And then there's another backstage bit, which I found more interesting. Bronson Reed is saying to Paul Heyman, what's the plan, I think. And Heyman goes, well, Seth's on a plane now, and he's figuring out plan B. He's perfecting it. And Bron Breakker walks in and says, no, the plan is going to smash everything.
Yeah.
We
don't need a plan.
I don't know if it made it into the news cut. I haven't watched it yet. But when I said that, it just sounded like he's going to have sex with everything. Just going to smash everyone on this roster.
Smash anything that moves.
I'm fast enough. So, yeah, to me that felt like the first bit of dissension. Or not dissension, but, these two guys are actually more powerful than us.
Yeah, well, particularly from Breaker's point of view, like Heyman, the way that Heyman looked was like, uh-oh. Like, this seemed like a really good idea to bring him into the fold, but also he is Bron Breakker. He is an unstoppable badass, and that could be a problem for us down the line. I'm not advocating for them to break this group up or like move someone away from a different direction. Your fancy booking pitch was, after when we did our WrestleMania 42 predictions, was that it was Seth versus Bron for the World Heavyweight Championship, and people thought you were mad that they were going to break that team up that soon. So I'm hoping that actually you're right. Oh, sorry, that they're right, and they don't break this team up this quickly. I know that people aren't hugely into this faction right now, but I do think there is a benefit to Bron somehow in this group.
The match was really good, actually. 20 minutes left. Sami doing the Sabu moonsault and taunt afterwards, but with the taped up midsection, made him look even more like Sabu. Sami and Penta both do their surfboard walks. And it's just Sami getting worked over, really, which is perfect for him. But then Reed and Breakker get in. Their inexperience, their greenness, in kayfabe terms, I mean, I felt like they were too aggressive, which let Sami make the tag. Yeah,
I think so, yeah. And a really good hot tag from Penta. And led to a really good finish as well. Like, great build for Sami hitting the suplex on Bronson Reed, because he's got the injured midsection. And the credit to Graves, and hasn't it been a blast having Graves on commentary?
So much better.
Breath of fresh air. But
I prefer Barrett, but
me too.
Way better than McAfee.
Absolutely. He goes for the suplex, and they're like, surely no way. There's no way, not with that injury, but what are you thinking? And he tries it, oh no. He tries again, oh no. And then Penta does a move on him. Breed bounces back into the suplex. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, really good.
But then, Bron just hit a spear out of nowhere for the win.
Yeah, that was a sort of distraction that allowed Breakker to hit Sami with the spear.
Yeah.
They go to beat him down afterwards with a Bronson Reed tsunami, but Jey Uso made the save with a steel chair, letting everyone yeet. The idiots. I thought so. Overall, I really appreciated the focus on the wrestling and the non-interference finishes.
Me too. The wrestling I thought was up and down the card. Really, really good on this episode of Raw. Like, this was a pretty solid episode of the show, and I had a good time with it. And from an in-ring standpoint, I thought this was really, really great.
Well, we've got a poll live now for you to put your votes in. And also, mods, can we get the best of the bingo suggestions popped into a separate document?
We should have asked for that earlier.
Everyone just send in your suggestions again and we'll crowdsource.
Yeah, I will. I mean, there was one that we wanted to add on to there, which is DQ finish.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's what you want to do.
Last call for the chat Gables. Team Ghost Rider Inc. says, I think this episode was okay, but with the tag team division, WWE need to focus on more than an overarching storyline than just a quick segment. WWE need to make the tag team division to showcase why those belts mean something to them.
It's a good point. I like, at least with the Judgment Day, I suppose, like Finn having those belts now does mean that he is right, and his plan, and maybe they should be listening to him more, because everyone's draped in gold now.
But it's just, at the end of the day, treat them like they're important.
Yeah.
That's what's been missing. Morlan writes, only one of the Punk-Drew matches was great. Drew's gripe wasn't all that multifaceted. The Rollins-Punk matches have been better. And the feud has a new wrinkle with Punk having called Rollins a corporate stooge before, but now selling out. Better feud, in my opinion.
I mean, I get what you mean. But I think that the Drew Punk one, because that was, feud of the year last year, certainly from a WWE side of things, I think there was more meat to that than there has been in pretty much all of the Punk Rollins segments. And I think with the Punk Rollins one, the problem with it is it's gone on for far too long.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from on paper, and I definitely won't say your opinion's wrong. No, because I think anyone's entitled to that opinion. I can see where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
But Rollins Punk, for me, just always feels to me like it's the company pushing this feud. Whereas Drew and Punk felt organic.
Yeah.
De Grossa Americano writes, hey guys, could we see a feud in the future between...
That's very good, by the way.
Could we see a feud in the future between Kaiser Americano and Shad El Grande Americano in a mask versus mask match?
Like the two Sin Caras.
Yeah, the fake Americano. El Grande Fakeacano. Well, I hope so. I think that's a great way to pay off what looks like it will be that first moment when the maybe shorter El Grande Americano does the Spider-Man point.
Yeah.
Would be great. Rafael Garcia. I think I figured it out. They were right. WWE is buying TNA, not because of their library, but because it protects them from gimmick infringement accusations. They took their curry man in El Starbucks drink and just made him suicide, but German.
Hey, there's been a rich history of wrestlers doing masked gimmicks outside of their regular gimmick. Not saying that Curryman and Christopher Daniels were the same person, of course. And
or Suicide.
Or Suicide, for that matter. And it wasn't Frankie Kazarian either. I don't think that El Grande Americano and Chad Gable are the same person. I literally saw them in the same segment together on week 1 of this story, and it's happened again now.
Which they never explain. Raphael, I'm glad you brought up Curryman and stuff and Suicide, because I was going to make... it's obviously Christopher Daniels. I was going to say that in my review when Kaiser Americano came out.
It's very good.
Right. I was at the show last night. A lot of fun, but the silence during the Bayley-Lyra match was deafening. Bayley has always been underrated, and I feel like Lyra has been doing stellar work of late. Their backstage segment was very heated. Both deserve better.
I mean, I think the three-way will be great. I just think the finish was a bit wonky and the crowd reaction was a bit lacking.
Yeah. The crowd... Yeah. I don't think it was the killer match that could get the crowd invested.
No.
Nor was Sheamus versus Rusev.
Good. They were good matches.
They were good matches.
And I've seen matches with less action in them get better reactions from WWE crowds at Raw.
Texas Goose. I don't get the hate for 3-hour SmackDowns. Oh my God. Have you watched one? I think they have been pretty good recently. The only annoying thing is the ad music. Every belt on SmackDown has story and TV time since WrestleMania, more than can be said for Raw. I don't think you need 3 hours of television every week to be able to juggle all your storylines that you want to. Go watch Batman v Superman. It doesn't need to be 3 hours long. It doesn't need to be 2.5 hours long. Tell a different story if it's that long.
I'm not going to make any assumptions based on people sending in chats, but the people who have always said to me that I don't mind 3-hour shows are the one who grew up on 3-hour shows. When 3-hour show was a standard for WWE. And that is just 3-hour shows are what they have been used to over the years.
Stephen Costa, Starbucks, Memberg for 1 month. Hello, over here on WrestleTalk. Hello, lads. Luke, you're sounding better. So Ludwig, I'm a fan. It'll be fun. Yeah, the New Day seem to have fallen off the wagon. Where's E?
Where is E? I do feel better. Thank you, Stephen Costa. But going to a wedding, I think, clearly helped where I had to do even more shouting.
Yeah, Ludwig, I don't know if you're saying this, Stephen, but yeah, Ludwig Kaiser, great wrestler, great heel. And now he's doing this comedy gimmick. Is that the best use of him? Or Are we just happy he's getting TV time?
I'm waiting for him to get TV time.
Roach Senpai, LA Knight attacking Seth was purely justified. The guy was there as a spectator and the dick was in his way and couldn't get to his seat. Also, just imagining the pure rage and somewhat laughter should Goldberg win. More of the former than the latter, though.
I still remember so vividly Super Showdown 2020 when Goldberg beat The Fiend, because it was me, you, and Laurie. And we were just saying, like, no, The Fiend is going to win. And Laura's like, no, I can't believe how you cannot see that Goldberg is going to win this. And we proper laughed him off. And then Goldberg won, and Laurie pissed himself laughing.
He just wants chaos. And now I'm there with him.
Yeah.
Charles Berg, no big deal, just complaining that I'm regarded as a 1-month member, but I am for sure a 44-month member.
Yes, we know, we believe you.
No. Charles Berg's, it's been reset. It's been reset over here. We're not honouring any streaks from before. Curious in LCL says, "Hey Luke and Ollie, newish wrestling fan and new Patreon. How do you guys feel about Punk right now? After the Saudi humiliation ritual, mostly stagnant promo work and okay matches, I found myself skipping his segments this Raw, something I've never done before."
I actually think that the backstage segment here with LA Knight and the shoving down of Gunther is the most I've been into Punk for the last month or so.
I've said a lot about the CM Punk stuff, and I stand by it. And I think everyone should go read the Brandon Thurston article that he's written, which is very, very funny. It's a sort of satire on how bold and noble Punk has been.
I've got to read that. Yeah. That sounds great. If I can, though, because I was thinking about this over the weekend, can I play Devil's Avocado?
You can try.
I think he means it.
Well, that's what I said in my review. I was like, that's what the evil interdimensional aliens do in The Invisibles. They don't just make you want to betray your friends. They make you believe that you're doing the right thing.
He is a different man now than he was when he sent out that tweet in 2020. A very different man. That's pre him even going to AEW. That's pre him hating Matt and Nick Jackson. It's pre him hating Kenny Omega. I think he was in a very different place there than he is now. I think that I'm not an armchair. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know the man personally. I'm likely never ever going to interact with CM Punk in person ever in my life, and I'm fine with that. But I always get the impression that AEW and the experience of AEW really did change how he feels about things. So I've never thought of him being a hypocrite going back to WWE. A, it's a very different place, and B, he clearly was, I don't like working here. I don't like working with children. It kind of made him appreciate the more professionalism that comes with working within WWE. I think that is a genuine vibe that I think is certainly, you could argue that he does feel that way, especially like the whole I'm home. Maybe there is actually some truth to that. And I think that he could probably look back on the way that he worded that tweet in 2020 and does feel really bad about it. And he wanted to apologize, not to the regime of Saudi Arabia, not to the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but the people within Saudi Arabia. You know, the people who are just living their lives, the ones who are going to these wrestling shows and just they don't want people bothering them. And that, he just wants to apologize to those people, because within his tweet, he kind of denigrated a whole country and the people within there. So I think he did want to apologize to those people. And I think he did mean it. There's also another side of me that's just like, no, he was forced to, because and this is a punishment. This is a WWE punishing him and thinking it is quite funny.
Well, yeah, I don't read those tweets, the initial tweet, and think he has something against the people of Saudi Arabia. And pretty sure everyone knows we have no problem with the people of Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely not.
It's the regime.
Yeah.
And by appearing on the show in what is explicitly a sports washing big money exercise for the Saudi Arabian General Entertainment Authority is absolutely going back on what you tweeted back then. It's not the Miz's fault. And you can, keep pushing causes that you believe in. I think that's a good thing to do, which he seems to be doing, going on various marches and promoting those. But you are a hypocrite.
Yeah. As I said, I just want to play devil's avocado. Not saying that I fully believe everything that I just laid out there. I don't know, because I don't know the man. but I did want to play devil's avocado and just like, maybe there is some kernel of truth to what he presented there, and it wasn't just some humiliation ritual as some like lay it out to be. But yeah, it is incredibly hypocritical.
Jer and very Punk.
Well, yeah, it's the most CM Punk thing he probably could have done, actually.
Oh, I meant Punk as in the spirit of Punk.
Yeah, I mean, well, nothing says punk rock quite like apologising.
Apologising to the big corporate money,
exactly,
Middle Eastern regime sponsor. Yeah.
But but it was also, not only is it the most punk, it's the most CM Punk thing he could have possibly done.
Jer from Finland writes, fantasy booking. John Cena won't lose the belt and goes home with it at the end of the year in 2025, and then he gets nominated in the Hall of Fame. Seth Rollins cashes in his Money in the Bank at the Hall of Fame ceremony.
That is, I mean, it's brilliant.
Yeah, that because you get what I want, which is John Cena ruining wrestling.
Yeah.
That's how you get it back.
I don't know, man. I think it's the double 10 at SummerSlam.
Yeah. We've got a long one from Real Double J, who has been very good at really specific references to Pop Us recently.
Yeah.
So here we go. Real Double J. Lads, like the Flash, I've come from the future to give you a dire warning of the cutscene path you're on. If you've not watched our movie review channel Cutscene, we just did Batman v Superman.
Yeah, and we've got Justice League coming up this month.
We're doing all the bad DC Superman movies. From Batman v Superman, you'll continue on the Snyder misery, take a left at Bayformer's frustration, through a quagmire of X-Men, and ultimately end at Sex Lives of the Potato Men, reviewed by Luke Owen, divorced DAD,
oh, no.
and an Ollie Davis, who ironically can only cry in public now. At home, he is but a husk of a man. There's a want, nay, a need for palate cleanser episodes where you review properly adjacent films to remind you of the good times. Now, you'd think the most obvious one is Gunn's Suicide Squad, but it's actually Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
What a film.
Luke can have a tax write-off for childcare, Ollie can impress with the amount of obscure DC references he caught, and, most appealingly, it's a svelte 90 minutes. You'll also learn the origin of Lyra Valkyria's sweet and ominous catchphrase. But the key to all this, review Megalopolis, aka when a revered auteur says he's never watched a superhero film, then makes the most 2000 superhero film ever. Why review a bad film to save you from bad films? It's a paradox. This is Doctor Who Time Travel 101, people. I must go now to fight on in a world where Chairman Mel Punk rules supreme and Judgment Day are still teasing a breakup.
Wow.
Very good.
Very, very good.
There's a making of film about Megalopolis coming out soon.
Is there?
Yeah, it's done by, who's the director? It's like a proper, it's not like Rich. It might be Richard Linklater. Right. It's a director of note who Francis Ford Coppola was like, film me. So that could be quite good.
Yeah. Maybe I mean, shout out to Teen Titans Go to the Movies. What a film.
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's so great. It's absolutely brilliant.
It looks good.
But yeah, that's all of our Ultra Chat. Shall I end the poll?
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Real Double J.
Yeah, love that.
Great chats as usual.
And also, thank you to everyone who has checked out our episode on Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice over on Cutscene, and has supported us over at Cutscene, patreon.com/Cutscene to watch the 4.5 hour version of that podcast where we break it down scene by scene and do have a breakdown mentally as well.
Yeah, do go over to Cutscene. Actually, after this, go to Cutscene, watch the Batman v Superman video if you're that way inclined, because we actually hopefully get to watch a good movie next Friday on that channel.
Yeah, we
will be reviewing James Gunn's Superman, which is released that same day.
So I was going to make the point to Real Double J, where it's like, you can't only watch bad movies, but we hope that next Friday we do get to watch a good movie. But then I was listening to the John Campea show, and he had spoken to someone who absolutely hated James Gunn's Superman, and I'm so excited to see it. I'm so curious about it, and I don't know I actually don't know how I feel about it, which is actually gonna be fun. I mean, I'm going in there with a pretty clean slate.
Like I said, I know how I feel about it. It's got to be the best film I've ever seen. Otherwise, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah. Which, and what's great for me?
Need this.
What's great for me as a Marvel guy is that 2 weeks later, all Fantastic Four has to do is just be a little bit better. All it's got to do is be a little bit better than the majority of Phase 4, and be like, It's back, baby. MCU is back.
Everyone remembers the Thunderbolts.
Hey, that was a good film.
It was like a month ago.
Yeah.
Moved on. This is the rematch of Batman v Superman versus Captain America Civil War in 2016.
That's it. We'll see which one makes the $1 billion.
No. You know, like, one of my best days ever is watching The Batman and then going to watch AEW Revolution that night.
Yeah.
And it's like a perfect day for me. And within 2 days next week, it'll be Superman and then All In.
Yeah. I'm excited for it, man. Like
it's a Warner Bros. We're all Warner Broing.
Did you see the picture that AEW put out of Kenny Omega with Superman?
Kenny Omega looks small compared to Superman.
Well, it's because he's massive.
And Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah.
He's a lanky guy.
He's a lanky lad. He's a lanky Lex. Anyway,
yeah, that's all we've got time for today.
The poll,
with the poll.
The poll. It's 48% thumbs up, 42 in the middle.
Yeah, okay. Pretty good show.
Yeah.
But I don't think the momentum's there currently.
I would
agree.
agree.
A little bit.
Yeah.
On a bit. But yes, thank you very much. Please do subscribe to this channel. We'll be back with the WrestleTalk podcast on Friday. And also go over to Cutscene right now to watch our Batman v Superman review. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam.